Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're ripping the shiny wrapper off the current AI boom to see what's really underneath. I mean, we are constantly bombarded with headlines, right? Promises that algorithms are going to revolutionize literally everything, from how we do our jobs to how we create art. But beneath the surface of all these miraculous chatbots and image generators, well, there are massive hidden costs, both physical and digital, and they are fundamentally altering our world. So get ready, because we are doing a deep dive into the AI illusion.
To really understand where we're at, let's start with a headline that honestly sounds like straight-up science fiction. Can a machine predict when you will die? According to a recent study featured in The Independent, researchers have built a new AI that can predict a person's time of death with a shockingly high degree of accuracy. It basically parses through an entire lifetime of data to map out the final outcome of a human existence. It's an incredibly powerful, almost, godlike capability.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the immediate reaction from the very scientists who built it. They explicitly warned, clearly, our models should not be used by an insurance company. Like, even the creators are terrified of this power and how it might be exploited out there in the wild. And it's exactly this mix of awe and absolute apprehension that brings us to the core of what we're talking about today. Because while we are all distracted by these wild, godlike capabilities, we are completely missing the profound underlying toll required to actually run these systems. Section 1. The massive energy toll.
We tend to think of AI as something living up in a weightless cloud, right? Like it's ethereal and infinite. But the baseline reality is, well, it's actually incredibly heavy. According to the International Energy Agency, back in 2022, data centers, cryptocurrency, and artificial intelligence already accounted for nearly 2% of total global energy demand. That is a staggering amount of physical, real-world power dedicated just to keeping the digital lights on and the servers humming.
But here is where it gets genuinely alarming. The IEA projects that in just a few short years, by 2026, this energy demand is expected to double. To put that abstract number into perspective, that means these digital sectors are going to require as much electricity as the entire country of Japan. Yeah, you heard that right. An entire industrialized nation's worth of energy completely swallowed up by data centers. Let's drill down specifically into the AI side of that consumption. Training just one large language model, like OpenAI's GPT-5, consumed nearly 1,300 megawatt-hours of electricity. That is equivalent to the annual energy consumption of about 130 typical U.S. homes. And that was just to teach the model how to predict the next word in a sentence. And remember, that's literally just the training phase.
And this brilliantly illustrates the daily, ongoing cost. Look at the difference here. A standard Google search takes roughly 0.3 watt-hours of electricity, but generating a response to a ChatGPT request, that takes 2.9 watt-hours. It's nearly 10 times the power. If we were to integrate ChatGPT into all 9 billion searches done every single day, the electricity demand would skyrocket so much that it could power 1.5 million European Union residents for an entire year. The physical footprint of this technology is absolutely immense.
Section 2. The approaching dead internet.
So we've seen the physical cost, but there's a massive digital cost too. As the sheer volume of AI activity explodes, we are rapidly hurtling towards what experts call the dead internet. This is the idea that the web, which used to be this bustling hub of human connection, is being totally overrun. Projections show that by 2026, bots will outnumber humans on the web, generating 51% of all internet traffic. More than half of the clicks, views, posts, and interactions will just be machines talking to machines, algorithms scraping other algorithms. The digital landscape is literally flipping from a human majority to a bot majority.
Section 3. The threat of model collapse. Okay, let's dive into this, because this demographic flip introduces a fascinating and, frankly, kind of scary concept known as model collapse. This is a degenerative process where an AI model basically forgets reality after it recursively trains on data generated by other AI models. Think of it like an Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail? When the internet gets flooded with AI text, the next generation of AI just scrapes that text to learn from, and slowly, the model begins to break down.
And this isn't just some hypothetical fear. This landmark study published in Nature, conducted by researchers from Oxford, Cambridge, and Toronto, actually proves this degenerative process mathematically and empirically. They looked at what happens to models, like GPT, over successive generations when human data is replaced by model-generated data.
The researchers identified 3 compounding errors that cause an AI to lose its grip on reality. First, statistical approximation error, which is basically the noise that happens because you're sampling from a limited dataset. Second, functional expressivity error, meaning the neural network itself has strict limits on what it can actually represent. And third, functional approximation error, flaws in the learning procedure itself. When an AI trains on its own outputs generation after generation, these errors don't just cancel each other out. No, they compound, creating a massive cascading failure.
To truly wrap your head around this, take a look at the data distribution in early generations. Notice those wide tails spreading out to the right? In data science, these tails are incredibly important. They represent human nuance, marginalized groups, highly specific contexts, and low probability events. This right here is the rich, messy, beautiful diversity of human thought captured in data.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Look at what happens to that exact same model several generations later after it has trained on its own AI-generated data. The tails, they have completely disappeared. The model has totally forgotten the improbable events. It has smoothed over all that nuance. It just flatlines into a narrow, highly concentrated, completely false projection of reality. The rich diversity of the original data is permanently lost.
And the practical results of this collapse are just bizarre. The researchers shared this wild anecdote in their paper. They took a language model and trained it purely on its own output. By the 9th generation, the model entirely lost the plot. It stopped producing coherent thoughts and simply started spitting out repeating, nonsensical text about different colored jackrabbits, black-tailed jackrabbits, white-tailed jackrabbits, blue-tailed jackrabbits. This incredibly sophisticated architecture completely degraded into repeating gibberish.
Section 4. Preserving the human element.
So the crucial point is, in a world increasingly dominated by energy-hungry algorithms and bot traffic, genuine human interaction becomes the ultimate premium resource. To save AI from literally collapsing in on itself, developers desperately need your clean, untainted data. They need your specific nuances, your messy realities, and your completely unique perspectives. Actually, ironically enough, the more prevalent AI becomes, the more valuable authentic human connection and creation becomes.
I want to leave you with this final, really provocative question. As we watch the energy demands double and the bots take over the absolute majority of internet traffic, what happens to human history and culture when the internet becomes a closed loop of machines just talking to machines? It's a fundamental question about the future of our digital world, and one we all need to be thinking about. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay curious and keep adding your genuine human voice to the mix.